This is the Travel and Tourism Show on Star FM.
Good evening and welcome to the Travel and Tourism Show here on Star FM, sounding good all the time. I'm Mazwi Shamu. This is the show that gives you information on where to go, how to go, what to do and how to do it. We also like to give tips and hints on exciting things to do and what to expect within the various destinations. It's been so exciting to see some of the issues we have raised in the previous shows starting to get the ministry's attention, so we won't stop. We want to highlight issues within the travel and tourism industry so that they can be addressed and we can raise our tourism industry to be the best that it can possibly be. Speaking of the best, on the show tonight is a seasoned tourism expert who has successfully driven the tourism industry in one of our best destinations within the Zambezi and Victoria Falls area. Tonight, I welcome Ross Kennedy. Ross, welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you. Thanks.
Join us in our conversation tonight by posting your comments and views on my WhatsApp platform 0734 610 613 or like and follow me on my Facebook page and Twitter at Mazwi Shamu. Just as we begin, Ross, tell us who is Ross Kennedy and what is or has been your role in the travel and tourism industry?
Thanks, Mazwi. I started in 1972 at the Jamison Hotel here in Harare. Counting empty bottles, counting potatoes, cabbages, doing stores issues, etc., etc. And over the last 45 years, including a stint overseas and going to hotel school in the UK, I've been in the business my whole life. And 25 years ago, together with a gentleman called Dave Glynn, who is our chairman, who had found a piece of land in Vic Falls, we started to build what today is known as the Africa Alberta Tourism Group.
I was looking through the website. That looks like a massive brand. I've seen some spectacular things that you are doing within the Vic Falls, like you mentioned, Botswana, Chobe region. Before we go into all of that detail, people struggle to know what tourism is really about. Can you define tourism in your own words and perhaps tell us what the key sectors are?
Sure. Tourism is one of the main sectors that falls into the broader hospitality industry. And within that hospitality industry, you've got everything from conferencing and events to incentive travel, and then of course to the leisure side of it, which is the brand that really falls into the tourism category. And tourism, and especially in this part of the world, tourism is defined generally by people spending disposable income in off time, i.e. non-work time, leave, vacation time, visiting destinations that may or may not be local within Zim and abroad. New things, exciting things, exploring, learning, taking the children to see and learn. But it's summarized by spending disposable income doing things that you wouldn't normally do in your daily and business life.
Okay. So in the area that you are working in, which is the Vic Falls sort of Zambezi escarpment area, that particular area is big in terms of ecotourism and sustainability initiatives. Can you break down what ecotourism is?
Okay, ecotourism covers, again, a wide range. The words and the description is used by different people in different ways. Eco started, the eco part of ecotourism, comes from ecology and looking after the land and looking after the resources. So that's the basis of it. But ecotourism generally speaks to the sector of tourism where the developers and the operators, from the very outset, from even identifying a place that they wish to develop, adopting a sustainable footprint from day one that includes protecting the flora and the fauna where they intend to develop, involving the community, consulting with the community, ensuring that the community benefits from that tourism development, be it by jobs, be it by working on the building project or the construction time, becoming waiters, etc., and through to everything that you do once you open, using solar if you can, processing grey water, etc., etc., using local vegetables and suppliers as opposed to bringing from elsewhere. So that's the broad description of ecotourism, taking care of the very thing that you are promoting.
Okay, so this falls directly under sustainable tourism. And I know we've been talking about, well, in the past year, the tourism industry has been dubbed the International Year of Sustainable Tourism. But tell me, in theory, it sounds fantastic. Is this really all happening on the ground? Have you seen the fruit of any of the things that you said, the jobs, the local economy and all of that?
Yes, there's absolutely no question. If I can tell you that in the Victoria Falls area, which is where the bulk of my knowledge rests about this industry, having operated there for 25 years and built and developed a business there all this time. Just in this last 2 years, for example, occupancies have risen. Apologies, thinking about the river now. Occupancies have risen just in 17 over 16 by over 22%. And in our industry, what happens is that every one job that's created, generally 10 other people are benefiting downstream, be they family or somebody else. As hotels get busier, they need more food and beverage, they need more linen, they need more laundry staff. So I can tell you that we've employed about 22 more people in the last 18 months. There are new hotels, there are new camps, there are new lodges, there's a new brewery, there's new bars and restaurants in Vic Falls, all of whom are having to employ people, and therefore there's no question the economy is benefiting. On the sustainability side, yes, I can tell you that lots of the properties are doing going the way of solar lighting, of going the way. Some of them are now looking at wind generation as well for power for their camps and tents and lodges. Recycling grey water. We're about to launch a major plastics recycling plant in Vic Falls for the industry. So there's a lot of it happening, yes.
I like that. I like the fact that you can actually give, tangible figures and numbers on what it's all about. What are some of the challenges that you may have faced with these initiatives?
Okay, in some cases, of course, it's about the challenges come from bureaucracy. And with bureaucracy comes possibly licensing and registration and so on. So with people like EMA, Environmental Management Authority, obviously local council, etc. Some of it, of course, is just standard. It's how we work. But sometimes it can be frustrating, the amount of bureaucracy that's involved when in actual fact one is trying to do good. So we're very fortunate. We have a wonderful relationship with the authorities in the Falls after 25 years of being in that town and developing and growing and contributing significantly to the community and the economy. From time to time, it's one does come across naysayers who believe that some of these things that we do, that we believe are a major contributor to doing good. One does get naysayers who say it's not worth it, and why? Well, that's up to them. They must do or not do what they wish to do. We will always be very good citizens of this country and of this economy.
Very nice. It's interesting to know. So with one of the other things I was thinking about when you're talking about how ecotourism works and how you involve the local community, that I'm sure develops a love for the area, love for the country within the local people themselves. Has this helped with issues such as poaching, for example, that you may get we've heard a lot about within the area? Sure.
Poaching, unfortunately, happens across the continent, and that's something that we can't fight on the continent, but we can fight within Zimbabwe, and we can fight especially within our region. There's a significant energy in the tourism sector across Zimbabwe and the region to combat poaching. We ourselves, together with a professional guide called Charles Brightman, launched the Victoria Falls Anti-Poaching Unit in 1999. So coming on for 20 years now. It's had massive success. We have 18 full-time scouts who operate 24/7 in a 50-kilometer radius of Vic Falls, often encountering seriously armed professional poachers. But a second part of that, of the anti-poaching unit, is that we have a education and engagement program within that 50-kilometer radius of the falls, especially with young people, to educate school children about the value of wildlife, that there's far more value in that wildlife wandering in the bush and being a tourist asset than being snared and killed today to be on somebody's plate tomorrow, and that's its value gone. Never mind protecting today for the children of tomorrow. So we do that. We have talks and shows and presentations in the falls to the community and to schools especially, and in the surrounding region, to get buy-in, to understand why the wider community thinking and acting together for anti-poaching is a very, very good thing for the future.
That sounds fantastic, and I hope that will spread across the country, and it's not something that will be done just within the region where you get poaching, but everyone will be involved. I like the fact that you're starting with young children and, catch them when they're young.
Yes, we're very blessed in this industry, in this country, that right across the country, from Kariba to Mana to Metopus to Wangi, all the private sector operators together with parks operate anti-poaching units, and it's something that as a nation and as a industry we should be very, very proud of. Of course, one can always do more. It's a function of resources. We know that parks are sadly underfunded and under-resourced. If that was to change, together with what we already do in private sector, it would have a major, major impact, and would be a great thing to see.
Okay, so now going back to what you offer as a safari operator, in our previous show I was having a conversation with Hoof de Jong, who was the guest on the show, and we were talking about certain things that the tourism industry offers that may not be as appealing to the domestic market. I, for example, when I was growing up, I used to travel with my dad a lot, and his idea of an ideal holiday was never a night in the bush. And I'm putting it bluntly, that's how people will put it. Where you go for game drives and walks and fishing and a lot of other things that fall under the conservation bracket. Reason being, when he was growing up, he walked from Mozambique, crossing the border into Mutare, to school every single day. So a walk in a park is not his idea of a holiday. And bird watching is something that he did. He'll tell you that I did bird watching when I was trying to catch them so we could have supper. So now with that in mind, when we talk of safaris, this is not really appealing to a lot of the average black Zimbabwean. Can you try and demystify these nature holidays and tell us what more is involved? Can you enlighten the listeners that they can go on a safari holiday? What's the accommodation like? What other activities can they do?
Sure, it's very interesting, the background that you've just described there, and I can see clearly how your father would arrive at his conclusion now. Of course, while some of those very fundamental things that he spoke of may still apply, what's happened in the safari and wildlife industry and the photographic safari industry is that the range and choice of tour operators, of safari operators, of accommodation and of destinations has grown so much in the last 20 years. And in some ways, Zimbabwe is one of the leaders in that. The number of and choice of places that you can visit across the country is very diverse, and you can stay everywhere from a do-it-yourself tent, where yes, you may have a guide and you may be but you expected to what they call participation safaris, where you will be asked to assist putting up your tent at night and through to the very best of the best, where you're met at the airport, say in Wangi, off a charter plane, and driven in a beautiful safari vehicle to the most luxurious tented camp that has hot and cold running, everything you could possibly imagine, food and beverage that you would expect in a five-star city centre hotel, and in fact sometimes even better because of your location. The very fact that you can be looked after like that in a very remote destination makes it somehow even more special. You can also, of course, across that range I'm describing, you can pay everything from $20 a night to $1,000 a night. For example, if I tell you that in Botswana there are camps and lodges in the Delta that operate at occupancies of 90+% for the year, that sell for $2,500 per person per night.
Wow. Wow.
And of course the bulk of their guests are very wealthy internationals, but everywhere between the 10 number and that number, there is choice and opportunity, and Zimbabwe is especially lucky to have so many different aspects within that sector.
Just whilst we're still in Zimbabwe, there's been this massive drive the past couple of months on the domestic tourism by the ZTA. Have you made any deliberate efforts to increase domestic tourism within the market?
Yeah, Mazwi, we certainly have. We pride ourselves on being a Zimbabwean company. Every single one of our close on 300 staff are Zimbabweans, and the Zimbabwe market is very important to us. The sadness is that, of course, over the last 15 years with what's happened to the economy, and then the last 3 years with roadblocks, Air Zimbabwe struggling, and of course the lack of cash and currency in the country, we've seen domestic tourism slide back in the last 2 years especially. But we have right now a number of campaigns in the marketplace through both on social media and on public channels, and then through the travel industry, through travel agents, tour operators. We have a number of Zimbabwean promotional specials out right now, offering discounts in our different products at different times of year. But starting from right now, from April, we've got a few periods where we'd like to be busier. We always have that. We have one person in the sales and marketing team who is solely responsible for the Zimbabwean market, and deals with the public, deals with the Zimbabwean-based travel agents and tour operators, corporates, the embassies, the NGOs, the schools, and so we see it as a very important part of our business.
Okay, this is the Travel and Tourism Show here on Star FM, sounding good all the time. And I'm speaking to Ross Kennedy, who runs a mega tourism brand in Zimbabwe and Botswana across the Zambezi and Victoria Falls area. There's obviously so much more that we can talk about. So I'm going to ask Ross to come back again on the show for next week. Ross, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and I hope you can come back so we can actually continue the conversation next week.
Thanks, Mazwi. That's very, very kind of you. I hope I've been able to share a few insights, and I'd be delighted to come back.
Awesome. That's great. I'm interested to know what sort of activities you would be interested in when you are on holiday. So send through your messages on my WhatsApp platform 263-734-610-613, and let's continue the conversation there. My Facebook page is Mazwi Shamu, or catch me on Twitter at Mazwi Shamu. Visit and like the pages and see some of the pictures of activities and beautiful accommodation facilities that can be had on such a holiday. Until next time, happy traveling.
This was the Travel and Tourism Show on Star FM.